Hello. Hello, hello. Welcome to Leap Taken. Happy Friday. Happy Friday indeed. I am trying to get things just right. It's a pickle. I'm working with a new monitor, doing some stuff. Anyway, hello, hello. I'm Mika here at Leap Taken. I talk all things witchy, craft related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. The light is just not right. Hold on. Here we go. I feel like it was just, I don't know. The sun's on the other side of the place. Don't worry about it. Hello. Welcome. All right, so yeah, I'm happy to talk about this topic today. This is just continuing on my spells series. Also, I don't know if you noticed instead of witchy review, I'm talking about witchy insights. So one of the things that I realized I wanted to kind of just start adding to this channel, one is coming on lives later. I don't think anybody's even here yet. It's cool though. It's cool. Um, yeah, the reason is I want to, I just do some different stuff. So witchy review is fun, but it takes a pressure off of me from either buying a bunch of stuff, if I'm not sponsored, but buying a bunch of stuff, or just and having enough time to go over it and review things, whether it's books and stuff like that. So I wanted to add in the witchy insight, and I'll still do reviews, but it just won't be every week. I feel like monthly a witchy review at the end of the month is chef's kiss. Every week is just, it's been a lot, and me picking up my curriculum. Yeah, I'm doing that. Working my personal enrichment curriculum, which I'm very serious about and intentional about. Me writing and actually taking clients, which what a problem to have. I'm actually having more clients. So leaptaken.com, you can book me for readings, mentor programs, and things like that. I'll be updating again soon the mentorship slots, because I'm very intentional about that too, because we'll be together for, if you do the mentor level 1 uh option, then we're like a month in, we locked in together. I'm going to help you. And if we have if you go with the more advanced level, that's like 6 weeks, so we're locked in with that too. So you see what I'm saying? Like, we gonna know each other very well by the time we're done. And that's a process. It's a lot of energy, and I'm very focused on my client per client, when I'm doing that. I mean, with any of the services, but you get what I'm saying. Anyway, so enough about that. I want to talk about biggest spell fails I've learned from. So, welcome. Venus J here. I do just want to say this: spells don't always go the way we imagine. Contrary, I mean, it gets better over time, and I'm going to hammer in practice, practice, practice makes the witch, versus just reading, doing, talking. Practice, 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 actually doing the work. What is beeping? Oh, my phone. Sorry. I am pausing because okay, they can wait. Okay, cool, 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 cool. This is the perfect time for my phone case, by the way. This is the flip 5. I do, and I need to clean this off. I do want to get the next one. I'm all over the place. Just stay with me. Stay with me. Okay. Sometimes spells don't go as we would like, right? It's not that the magic didn't work per se, it's that our energy, maybe our timing or intention didn't align. And yes, I've got some stories. So let's go. So we're going to talk about why spells fail, um, and why it matters. So Failing is part of learning. I want to point that out. Failing is part of learning. Why am I getting notifications? Because why wouldn't you? Failing is part of learning. I don't think people give it enough credit that it's okay to fail. When you're learning anything, you typically, if you fail, you learn what you did wrong and you correct it. I don't, that's not a bad thing. Some people get so weird about that. Like, you think it's supposed to be perfect every time. You're not supposed to make any missteps. Sometimes things go haphazard. Sometimes you can get hurt. Sometimes you can, hurt a situation and that wasn't your intention because of your spell work. I'm just letting you know it's possible. Witches rarely share missteps publicly for obvious reasons, but they're just as important as the successes. And I'll get into that. Any spells that fail are just feedback from the universe, in my opinion. And you should take it that way instead of taking it as a personal issue. It's an opportunity. Quick tip, keep a spell journal page, like what you did, what happened, and what you learned. And I provide books that help you with that, but I strongly suggest that you keep whatever way you want to go about it. Keep a spell record. I'm off my soapbox about that, but that's why spell fails matter. So let's talk about my biggest spell fails. Those words together. It made sense when I made my notes. So the rushed spell. So casting quickly because you needed results right now. That would be me. This is not really an issue so much today because I usually know, I already know. But there was a time I was one of those people doing a spell, like money spells for sure. Money spells, not prosperity, not wealth, money spells. Like, you need that $200, you need that $500, or you need that $1,000, or whatever it is. Those types of spells. But when years back, and my daughter has since graduated from college. She's actually she went to another school and got another degree. So at the first school, or actually, this situation that it did eventually go back to, we had gotten a bill. The bill was crazy. It was like $10,000. Oh, and it was the fall semester. Hey, all the money, the grants, the this, the that, it covers this much. You're on a hook for 10 grand. Now, I was already on a hook for 5 grand and I was paying that. 10,000 just complicated the heck out of a situation. As a family, we needed to produce $10,000 before January when she would go back to school, or she wouldn't be able to enroll. I was rushing. I was panicked. I did not want to mess this up for her. End result, everything I tried, everything I did, it didn't work right then and there. She missed a year out of her college. So all her friends, her college roommate, all those connections, because she was away at school. My baby lived her life just the way we wanted for her. We wanted to have that college experience. And she did. So she couldn't go for a year. So she couldn't go that January, and she couldn't go that next fall semester. She couldn't go until the next year of that next January. So she missed 2 semesters and she was able to go. That was a hard pill. I did do some things later when it wasn't rushed, but my initial gut reaction was to rush and do a couple different things. So let's talk about why this spell, the first thing I did, the rushing, when I saw the bill and I freaked out. Scattered focus, no prep. I just went all in, I just started doing stuff. I don't even remember. I can't even tell you what I did. I don't think I know I didn't write anything down. I was just like on raw emotion and panic and fear. That's what I was putting in. And my lesson was preparation and energy alignment matter more than any prompts. More prompts, the candles, the this, the herb, the that. Preparation and energy alignment mattered so much more than anything else. And that was a valuable lesson. and there was a lot of money on the line. There was a lot at stake. It was actually more than 10. Now that I think about it, I'm lying. It was actually 15,000. It was still the 5,000 and 10,000 on top of that. Boom, because I was paying the 5,000. I just didn't know where I was going to come up with 15 like that. It went mad. It went crazy. Anyway, wasn't prepared to spend that kind of money within 4 months. So that was that. So I do want to talk about the next one. my fails, spell fails. The one and done spell. So this is almost like the first, a little bit, but expecting one candle spell to solve everything. I have had more than one opportunity to do this, the one and done spell, using a little tight tea light candle or a chime candle to resolve everything. I'm going to give y'all an example that's not money related, but relationship stuff. This would have been, I'm talking probably 10 years ago. This was happening, or more. But yeah, at least 10 years ago. I remember faintly, did not write any of this down. This is how I know. These are my fails. By the way, I didn't write it down. But yeah, just putting all my hopes, dreams, and wishes in this one candle, and not fully I didn't at that point. I know I didn't dress it or do much to it. It just was it was probably more than 10 years then, but I didn't do much. I just remember lighting a candle and something I bought at a store, and I think it meant something, and hoping it would somehow fix relationship issues, marriage problems, stuff like that. So why did that fail? Magic does require reinforcement and some mundane follow-up. This, for me, you can't be the only one doing something. So when I say mundane follow-up, you can't be the only one trying to save a situation or make it better. If the other person in a relationship is not committed to the same level of energy that you're willing to put into a relationship, do you see how there's going to be some issues? So there's still the mundane aspect of, what are you doing? What are they doing? Are y'all aligned? You know what I'm saying? Like there's just the good old fashioned communication, and both of us having a desire to fix it. And then what does it mean to be fixed? I have my intentions, but like I said, I was putting all my hopes, dreams, and wishes in one candle to try to resolve something, and that's not going to work. The short answer, the lesson I learned about that, the one and done spell, and I've done this more than once. I'm just picking the one that probably rings the truest, is the relationship stuff. Thinking a candle's going to fix it all. But consistency beats intensity. Consistency beats intensity. There's so much other, when you're talking anything relationship wise, where you're talking about working with another person, especially if you're talking, and I'm not going to just say love magic. It was, a lot to it. It wasn't just about love magic. That wasn't even the point of the candle. I really was hoping I was pouring all this stuff into this one little tight candle, trying to make everything literally close to perfect. I knew things couldn't be perfect, but close to perfect. But that's my idea of that. There's another person in a relationship. That's not their idea. We didn't have the same views, basically, on what to fix a relationship looked like. Theirs was much more steeped in patriarchal beliefs, and mine wasn't. So there's that. And when I say consistency in my case, you have, two people working on it together, not just one person with a candle in hopes and dreams. Okay. 3, my third fail. And we talked about this on Wednesday, self-sabotage. So we're back to that. So another thing, like a money spell undone by saying things like, I'll always be broke. It always feels like I'm telling you mine. it always feels like the rug is being pulled out from under me. I used to talk like this. I used to think, I heard one time somebody, I don't know who it was, probably somebody on YouTube years ago, said, things are like, the pendulum swing, and sometimes you're up and sometimes you're down. And I really internalized that, which was dangerous for me and my situation. But simply, when it came to like money stuff, I would get very weirdly, all of a sudden, everything else I felt like magic is solved. But for some reason, I used to have these weird reservations about it. And I would be speaking over the work in a negative way, in the opposite of what I was wanting. So why did it fail? Obviously, subconscious plus the words I was speaking or thinking counteracted my intention. That's an obvious one. That's actually something that a lot of people struggle with doing magic, and it doesn't, not just newbies, even seasoned people, because the more you lives, and you be thrown off a little bit, and sometimes you start speaking negativity over your spells and you don't realize it. But we're not perfect beings. Sometimes we're going to say things. I rebuke it. Use the rebuke method once it comes out your mouth, or correct yourself, or go to the, say, hey, you know what? I take that back. I don't mean it. I do that. I'll be in the middle of talking to somebody, and if I say some wild stuff that's counteractive to my intentions that I speak over myself, the affirmations that I speak to myself, I will out loud, because I said those words out loud, I'll be like, you know what, universe, never mind. Don't do that. And my lesson was, your words and mindset are ongoing spells. Your words and your mindset are ongoing spells. If you truly feel unlucky, you keep saying it, you keep thinking it, the universe will show you that you're right. If you keep feeling you're unlovable and you're not, there's really nobody out here for you, or the man or the woman that you really want is on the other side of the world, then that will be your situation. Anybody else, even if you think they come close, you'll always wonder if they were the right person for you, because you've convinced yourself of that. You're thinking that spell is working. Okay. Number 4. Wrong correspondences, wrong results. So using herbs and crystals that didn't sort of fit into the intention, just because I would say now the word trendy, but because they were more popular, and they were accessible. So this is a touchy one. I had to think about this when I was adding this to the list. Seriously though, if the crystal or herb means something to you, you have a connection to it, and that meaning, the properties are not quite what the masses, what most of us all kind of have aligned with the meaning of, and yours is totally different. Prime example, lavender. For lavender, peace, harmony. I also associate lavender with protection. The protection of that peace and harmony. You may not see it that way, but I truly believe that. I feel like that's what the plant tells me. So that's how I work it. Now you're listening to me and you say, oh, Mika says lavender protection. You just going on the strength of what I said, not what you truly believe and what you know to be true. So, but deep down, you're just like, interesting, because I've always heard it was, for peace and, all calm and all that. If you start working that in and you're not getting the results, I might tell you maybe that's why. I mean, I'm going to ask you what else you did, but, that could be a part of it. You don't believe that herb even works that way, but you go on what somebody said or what you read in a book, you know what I'm saying? But it doesn't relate, it doesn't make sense to you, but you're just doing it. Stuff like that. Yes, I did stuff like that. These are my fails, because I actually did that. Things I read in a book and not thought about, but I'm getting to that. That's another one. But why it failed is correspondences do actually matter, even if aesthetic witchcraft kind of says otherwise right now. Don't ignore that. Like, I'll break it down a little bit more, but yeah, don't ignore like the moon phases, for instance, and stuff like that. Waxing, waning, full moon versus new moon. Um, I feel like some people just like to go against the the tide of everybody else. They want to go against the grain of what everybody else believes in. There are people who are always like want to be contrary, and some of those are witches, and some of them have a platform. And listen, sometimes you need to do certain things right now. This is where my approach to do spells on spells on spells comes into play, because you would be sort of counteracting what else is going on. But I'm going to move on to my next fail before I go on a tangent. But before I do, my lesson was know your tools, use what resonates, not just what looks good. Number 5, borrowed spells without personalization. Copying a spell word for word from a book without adjusting it. I learned this early on. Don't do that. Make some adjustments. Add your signature. Add something. I'm doing like I have books where I'm giving spells. Um, Add your personalization. Add, modify it. I even give ideas in those books of shadows on how you can modify it. Uh, do that. Make it your own. Do something to add a little bit of your signature to it. If we're dressing a candle, if you're comfortable, use a piece of hair and wrap it around. Something that ties it to you. That's all. Okay, depending on the spell. Don't do that with everything. It depends on what the spell is. But why it failed, a lack of personal connection, to the words or the actions. You have to make it for you. The spell has to be, for you, about you. And my lesson is personalization activates your magic. My signature, my energy signature is on that spell. Yeah, I think you get the point, right? Yeah. So number 6, this is the last spell. I'm giving you 6 of my wrongs. um, Timing blindness. So casting a growth spell. This is where I was going to get into. This is a little bit more. Casting like a growth spell during a waning moon. Um, I know this is a lot of people's like, oh, I don't really follow that. If I need it, it works. I don't have a problem. But why did it fail? Natural energies worked against the spell. So here's the thing. This is the lesson I learned. Astrological seasonal timing is like, to me, almost like a wind at your back. Don't ignore it. Don't ignore that. And I know it's easy to, because we're in a time where everything is instant. So you just think it. But once upon a time, people had to wait. They had to wait. If you hired a practitioner in different paths, they usually had to gather supplies. They were looking for a certain alignment in with the stars, or they were looking for a certain lunar phase. There was a purpose. There was all these other elements. So no, it wasn't going to be instant. We see that in movies. It's like, if you ever watch Vampire Diaries, it was always some major moon or astrological event occurring when certain situations happen. And of course, that's fiction, and they were really playing that up. But my point is, the ancients knew. They marked these things. Also, as women, with our menstrual cycles, certain things were timed with that. That was the first real measurement of time in the moon phases, using women's menstrual cycles. That is, there's anthropologic. I can't get the word right, but anyway, there's evidence of that. That's not just a thing I'm saying, and that's not something, some propaganda from someplace else. Truly, there's devices that they found, that, because that's how they figured out the moon phases, things like that. They used women's cycles. Anyway, it's the first calendar. As we were doing this, there were other things that we could tie to that, and growth cycles, and as it relates to the land and the seasons and all that. And that's one of the reasons I sort of enjoy, one of the aspects I enjoy about witchcraft is learning all that, learning more. And honestly, having fails taught me more about that. And I think that's one of the reasons I enjoy working with the Wheel of the Year so much. And I've tuned it based on my location as well. But, and I approach my magic from that point of view, working with the Wheel of the Year. So guess what I can do? When I do my spells now, I'm aware of the season that I'm in. It's not the weather, it's the season. I'm aware of the season, um, and the type of magic that I work. That's why when we're having certain conversations and I'm doing series with the Hot Witch Summer series, I came in June with that, or actually late May, I came into June with that, um, on aligning with the idea of using solar energy to boost yourself and to thrive and, to really be in your witchy era over the summer. And then now we're coming into fall and I'm talking spells and spells and spells because typically people are, this is the time we're coming into our harvest time, metaphysically speaking, and well, in other ways, but we're coming into our harvest time for all those works that you did in the spring and then the summer, and you should be, starting to get the fruits of those spells and rituals and things like that. There should be some, lack of better words, evidence of the work that you've been doing, and that's kind of how I take that approach. And when I do, as the year goes on and we get into the darker half of the years and we start getting into the winter solstice and so forth, and that's where I'm doing so much more self-love. That when I finished and pretty much did a lot of the writing for the Book of Shadows for the Love Witch around that time, because that made so much sense, because I'm, self-care, self-love, love magic, and just all that sort of energy was easier to focus on during those times and to test out those spells during that time that are in the book. Anyway, so yeah, time blindness was an issue for me once upon a time when I wasn't very familiar with the lunar phases. I didn't understand it. I didn't even, I'll be honest, in the very beginning, I didn't fully comprehend waxing, waning, and I kept getting them confused because I just hadn't really thought about stuff like that before. And all of a sudden I was, and then seasonal magic as well. That was a whole other concept for me to kind of work around and to understand. So let's talk about avoiding spell fails. How do you avoid it? So clear intentions. Y'all would have, that's the first guess. Clear intentions. So write it before you cast it. I just posted a video on my other channel, Magical Lifestyle of the Cottage Witch. And, sorry, something's getting to me. I was taught, I had been filming bits and parts over the summer, and I did a whole compilation on that channel and kind of talked that out, what I've been up to, because I haven't posted there since June of this, like in the beginning of the summer. So I was talking about a spell that I was working on then. I never said what it was, but I was just gathering supplies and kind of talking it through. And I was saying how I want to write it down. I got to do like a mind map of my spell. I like to get a notebook, a piece of paper, and just start kind of writing things down and getting an idea. And once upon a time, I was somebody who would just start grabbing things and working it. Now I'll start grabbing items based loosely on the intention and stuff like that. But I like to take a beat, write down, and then see, okay, how do I want to do this based on my intention? But I think you should really write things down before you cast. Just saying. And then, of course, layering your magic. We talked about this before when I did a spell, like your candle. We did something with a sigil and action, so we were deliberate about the various layers. I think taking an approach like that is stronger than just one element. It's been working for me. Consistency, so return to the working instead of abandoning it. Which reflection is another aspect of that. So track your spells. Don't just forget and hope. That was something that was a problem. I had to work through and figure out. I would just sort of forget it and hope. And people tell you that, oh, I don't think about it anymore. I just know the universe has it. It depends on what we're talking about. What you do that spell for that you just think you need to walk away from and not think about it? If it was to forget employment, so what do you mean forget about it? Are you applying for jobs? Like what are you talking about? There's usually some sort of action that you have to do. If you want to make friends, like I've been talking about this, oh, I want to make more friends. I've had opportunities to make friends um, here in Arizona. The thing about it is, what kind of friends? Do you want to make witchy friends? Okay, what kind of witchy friends? I could find myself in a room with a bunch of 25-year-olds, which is not the end of the world, but I'm a woman of a certain age. I want somebody like me. And also, now I become like, I'll surpass auntie and just become mom. I don't want to be the house mother. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a fun job. I don't want to go, I have adult children. I don't, and it's not a fun space to be in. I don't want to be the person, giving all the, what am I getting from this experience? What, their youthful energy? I already got my own 20-something-year-olds I can hang around. I don't need to adopt a bunch of new ones for friends. Y'all know what I'm saying. I would want an eclectic mix. So, I'm going to leave that alone. That was just, integration. I'm already on a tangent. Remember, magic is both spell and action, so if you're doing a prosperity spell, apply for opportunities. That's all I'm saying. So if you have any questions, let me know in the comments, because I see it's not a lot of people here right now. It's cool. Just let me know in the comments. Before I move on to the next thing, I do just want to do a reminder. If you're looking for a safe place for witches, a safe place to hang out virtually, I do a every first Saturday of the month witchy meetup. It's taking place on my Discord channel. The link is in the description here. Tomorrow would be the first Saturday of September, so we'll be kicking it, hanging out. We have a theme. It's DIY apothecary, so that means you can come with any herbs, herbal blends, if you kind of want to show your labels, if you created it and what you've done. If you want to make something while we're talking, I'm going to be making something. So, we can turn it into a craft session. I'm going to have a little fun drink. I'm going to be making stuff. And, I like to have fun questions, little icebreaker questions, stuff like that. And just chatting. It's low level. I'm not trying to make anybody do anything. You can choose to be on camera or not. I'm not, I'd like to hear you though. You don't have to be talking a mile a minute. It's okay if you kind of are a little bit more reserved, and then, you want to come in. But yeah, this will be the third meetup, and it's been a different group. So I'm curious to know what the group will look like tomorrow. So come through, and let's have fun. I'm not talking at you. It's not like this. Well, I'm me, but you know what I mean? But it's not like this. I'm not talking at you and you're responding. You're talking, we're talking, we're having a little kiki together, and we can have a nice time. It's about an hour. If we go over, it's not the end of the world, but it's about an hour of just hanging out with some witches in a safe place where you won't be judged. And if you're a practitioner of sorts, if you're an occultist, if you're whatever, if you are male or female, it's okay. Please come through. I have a place where I want us to get together and have fun. On to the next topic. So, transitioning, speaking of reflection and practice, I want to share something. I shared it again, but this is more in official capacity. I've been working on that connects directly to this topic, my witchy activity book. I've just released my brand new book. This is the Witchy Activity book. Let me get this in a shot better. Yeah, it's a creative, interactive way to build your practice. That was the point of why I made it. It's not just reading and journaling. It's doing. So inside you'll find spell trackers, grimoire style pages, fun activities, some coloring, word search, cutouts, and prompts to help you actually apply magic. So one of my favorite sections is the spell tracking pages because it kind of fits what we're talking about. Well, I gave you a couple of these. I'm just going to show you the last one because I can't get it. So I have this page in here. So, and I made my notes because y'all, I will talk. First of all, I'll flip through every page in this book trying to explain it. But anyway, but these pages let you document, is the point. Document your spells, what you did, what happened, so you can learn both from successes and your missteps, because that's how you grow. So like on here, it's like steps, actions taken, incantation, a word spoken, outcome, and notes. So like I'm helping you with that here, and just a fun looking page. So there is that. I'm talking to you, speaking of, about planetary hours and correspondences and things like that for your spell in an approachable way. As well, I'm talking to you about altar setup and so forth as well. And you can see there's activities. This is an activity book. You're doing activities, you're doing your work, days of the week, magic activities. So a way for you to sort of practice with that energy. There's actually things in here to help you with that. Crystal correspondences, because we talked about that, all that sort of stuff. There's so much you're going to be writing. You're going to be writing in here, and you're going to be pasting things in here. I even have a manifestation planner if you need some help with that. These 2 pages are actually in my witchy planner. That's a download actually. But yeah, these are pages that are in here, but I thought it made sense on everything just to add these pages. So there's like a witchcraft tracker of things that you want to do to kind of stay witchy in here as well. So there's quite a few things in here that's going to help you out. But you can grab your copy right now on Amazon or through, it'll be by the end of this weekend. I'll have it up there at leaptaken.com. But all my grimoires, Book of Shadows are already on my website as well. This will be there this weekend. But it's perfect if you want to strengthen your craft, avoid repeating mistakes, and have a little witchy fun along the way. So yeah, I just wanted to formally introduce the Witchy Activity book. I'm quite proud of her, and you'll be seeing on my other channel, that'll be in where I'm actually filling it out and doing that because I want to do it too. So yeah, spells fail. It's not the end of the world. I think it's part of a witch's journey. The key is learning, layering your magic, hence my term spells and spells and spells, and reflecting on the process. You can't reflect if you're not recording though. So I do want to hear from you if you're watching this, if you don't mind sharing, what's your biggest spell fail? You don't have to tell me exactly what it was, kind of like how I highlighted the ultimate reason, like I rushed into it. Or, I mean, you could give a little story. I'm up for that too. But especially if it's something you figured out, you moved on from. And if it's more recent, it's okay. Phil, you might be really helping somebody who reads that, by the way, and be like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. The rushing is something, it's still an issue sometimes. I'm not going to hold y'all. It's still a problem. I work through it. It's part of my nature. The patience is like, with me. We're working through that though. I got a spell for that too. Yeah, so reflect. But yeah, what's your biggest spell fail? And just let me know in the comments. We're gonna normalize growth. Let's normalize growth. So a lot of us had to fail to get to that point. And if you're very interested on how I avoid self-sabotage, you'll see this weekend I'm going to have my member only video where I'm actually going to do the spell and they're going to get to see. So I'm walking through my banishing self-doubt. Well, I said spell, actually it's a ritual. Step by step. So if you're interested, hit that join button so you can join Leap Taking membership. You support the channel and you get member only videos, exclusive member videos, where I'm actually doing the work that we're talking about. And I'm actually, the reason I don't have that out now is because I'm timing it specifically at a certain point, so I'll be filming it then. That's a whole other thing. Don't worry about it. But I just know when I speak, I actually follow what I say I do. Like, I actually do what I say. That's what I'm trying to say. So yeah, to me, if I'm banishing self-doubt, that's a reflection of love for myself. And that's a very Venus Day, Friday situation. So I wanted to actually do that tonight. So that's why. So thank you so much for watching. Like the video if you've enjoyed it. I would appreciate that like. It helps me here. One, to know that y'all like this type of topic. And two, it tells YouTube that so they can show my videos to other people. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate it. Stick around. I'm just going to continue the series on spells for this month. And then we go just full on spooky, ancestral magic, dark half of the year, and some really compelling, interesting topics in October. But this is our September situation. You're going to get your spells down, so we're ready for October. All right, so thanks again. All right, bye.